Nick, have you heard?
Probably.
But seriously, I have some really big news.
Please tell me this big news that I probably already know.
Okay, you know of the music licensing site MusicBed, right?
Who doesn't know about MusicBed? They're the best place for wedding videographers to get licensed music. They have amazing artists like Chapters, Tony Anderson, Delight in the Heat, as well as hundreds of other curated artists, bands, and composers. I've been using the MusicBed since I started wedding filmmaking in 2012.
Yeah, their subscription service was a life changer for me, especially since all of their subscription music is pre-cleared for every social media platform, Facebook, Instagram, Love Stories TV, and my personal favorite, YouTube, all pre-cleared.
Dude, it's so good. But again, what's this big news that I probably already know about?
They want to sponsor our podcast.
Yeah, I know that. I was a part of the emails.
Can you at least act a little surprised?
Oh, my bad. Hang on. Seriously? They want to pay us to talk about their baller music service? A service that we both have loved and used for years? Sold. I'm in. Sign me up.
We know the time suck that is searching for the perfect song for your wedding film. MusicBed has spent years collaborating with artists, bands, and composers to make it easier than ever for anyone to find the right song for their video.
And if you're interested in a free month of a MusicBed wedding subscription...
Hold up, a free month?
Yeah, a free month of a MusicBed wedding subscription service. Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed. When you sign up, use the promo code HTFW and you will get your first month for free.
My first international wedding ever was down to Antigua, Guatemala, and I literally packed 2 Pelicans, a SKB tripod, hard roller case. We show up, it's like 9:30 at night, and they stop us, and I was like, what are you talking about? I'm just here for vacation.
Hello and welcome to the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is John Bunn, and today is a special bonus episode where I interview my friend Henry Martens with the Brothers Martens. He is a destination and travel wedding filmmaker that we've had on the show before. I'm doing a wedding coming up in about a month in Italy, and I just had a whole bunch of questions for him about like what I should be packing, what I should be thinking about. And so what I did was I just sent him a message and said, hey, can I ask you a bunch of questions? And then we realized might as well record this and turn it into a podcast. So that's what this is. I'm really excited to share this with you. I think it's great info, even if you're not wanting destination weddings. So let's jump into this episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. Henry, thank you so much for joining us again on our podcast. For those that didn't listen to the previous episode, I believe it was number 26. You were in a dark room in another country, but the knowledge that we got from that was so good. I'm about to be going to Italy on a trip, and I keep messaging you about this trip, and I thought, what if we, just record a bonus episode, I can ask you all the questions that I was thinking of, and maybe this would help somebody out there. So before we jump into all that, give us just a quick rundown of who you are, what you've been up to. For the listeners, I know that they've already heard from you before, but maybe this is their first podcast tuning in. So who are you? Where are you based? What do you love about what you do?
Yeah, cool. So my name's Henry Martens, and I have a company called the Brothers Martens. My brother's a photographer, so we're a photo video company. We specialize in destination weddings. We do local weddings, obviously, but what we really are passionate about is getting to travel and visit around the world with couples that also, love doing the same. And we're based in Dallas, Texas. What I love most about what I do, it's probably the traveling. Because I think a lot of people, it's kind of a funny conversation in the industry. People either like, I want to become a destination traveler, or people who have done it decide, oh, it's not really for me. And there's a lot of reasons it's not for you, family and trying to basically justify like profits and stuff. But we can get into all that stuff later. But I love getting to travel, and that's just something that I think if I didn't get to do destination weddings, I would not do weddings.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you're very widely known for, your travel films and just what you're doing. Why don't you talk a little bit about, real quick, just kind of where you've been in the last little bit, where you're excited to go coming up?
Yeah, we just got this year. I feel like it's not every year we have like a ton of like international weddings, but this year was one of the. It's like every other year kind of. So this year, big year of international weddings. We started the year off in Colombia, super awesome in Cartagena, and then we just got back from Iceland, and then later in the year, which was my second time in Iceland, and very very cool. It was really well done. The couple had an awesome vision, and then we also have. Colombia again, but in Medellin, which is cool. We have a couple other places. We always have a lot of stuff that's around the states. Like August, we're going to Napa twice this year, Richmond, Virginia, some other cool places. So I think about half of our weddings this year are travel for us outside of like Texas area.
Okay, so these destination weddings that you're traveling all over, if you're listening to the previous episodes, why don't you give us just a quick rundown about kind of the pricing, the breakdown that you're doing for these destination weddings? Like, what are you charging roughly? What does that include for you? I know you do some, other days besides just the wedding day. So tell me how it's looking for 2019, 2020 on what you're trying to charge for these films and what you're thinking about when you're charging these things.
Totally. So obviously, anytime you get an inquiry for like an amazing location, the first feeling is excitement, and then the next feeling is, oh, I wonder if they have a budget, right? And we can always judge, like try to make predetermined judgments about how much money it's at the Ritz-Carlton in California. Okay, I'm sure they have a big budget. But again, we all know just because they're getting married at the Ritz-Carlton doesn't mean they've allocated, enough towards their video budget. I had one of those earlier this year. I was like, oh, this will be really easy. Like they're really into me. They're a referral from a photographer. Anyways, and so I sent them my pricing, and they had like a multi-day thing planned, and it came out, I think it was like 16 grand plus travel, and they were like, it's out of our budget. I was like, oh, okay. So, but the starting price for us is $7,000. That's for like fly out Friday, like shoot with the wedding, fly home Saturday, and so $7,000 plus travel. And travel is pretty simple. For base packages, we charge food per diem, transportation, flights, and lodging, right, for 2 nights. Mm-hmm. But the big thing with those is I'm always trying to figure out, instead of like trying to upsell people, I try to get them on the phone and figure out like what do you have planned for your weekend. Like I know that a lot of people want to obviously sell bigger packages, but like if they're just having like a rehearsal dinner on Friday, for our destination work, that ends up being like a significant amount more because I have to pay my second shooter another rate. There's another night of travel because we've learned, and this is going to sound kind of snobbish, but we don't travel the same day we shoot. And so like an event. So like we wouldn't fly out Friday morning and shoot rehearsals, Friday night. So there's like another night of travel. So the cost ends up being a lot more just to add on just a rehearsal. So I always try to figure out what they're planning. If they have like, maybe more of like an adventure session, like we did a Joshua Tree wedding, and when everybody flew in, they all ended up going out to Joshua Tree that night and doing a small hike and stuff like that. And so I could like basically we did like an interview with a couple out there on the rocks, and kind of just like there's just more story there. So anyways, my point being, I'm not always just trying to like sell stuff to sell stuff. I'd rather like make it easier on myself, and instead of like selling a bigger package and then just going to film like a rehearsal dinner. I mean, I'll do it if it's important to them, right? If there's like speeches or something, but I'm just trying to figure out what my couples have planned, and if there's anything they say or are doing that like sparks creativity in me, then I'll really try to like sell it to the couple of like, hey, and usually they love like any idea that you give them, especially if it's something unique. So, did that answer your question?
Yeah. I mean, I think, and I don't want to rehash a lot of what we talked about in the previous podcast, but if you're listening and want to know more about that subject in itself, episode 26 with Henry, tons of great info there. Definitely check out that episode. So the reason that I kind of wanted to reach out, and we'd been talking about this since the last time, right when we recorded with you, I had just booked a wedding in Italy, and I'm super stoked about it, and I want to make like the most out of it. And I want to do it right. And I want, I'm just trying to like cover all my bases and like, okay, this is an international wedding. We've done like Hawaii or Mexico but this is like the first real international, like going out of, I don't, the electric plugins are different, the travel, just the language barrier. Like there's just a lot of stuff that I'm thinking about. My wife, we're thinking about, and then there's just a lot of like anxiety that I'm getting from like, okay, are my batteries going to get taken on the plane, or am I like, what should I do? So there's just a lot of questions I have, and I thought there's a lot of people that are traveling internationally or want to do that. It would be cool to just have a conversation with you about that based on what I need. And then if you have any other tips or things that come to mind when we're talking about it, be sure to drop them, because, you know, we want the people that are listening to be able to do that as well. So basically what I have figured out so far is their wedding is on a Friday night, and I'm getting in like on Tuesday. My wife's coming along with me. She's going to be my second shooter, air quotes, on the day, you know, just during the ceremony basically, and help carry stuff and things like that. But one of the things that they're doing is, like, we get there Tuesday at noon or something. We have the night off, and then Wednesday they're doing like a full day yacht tour with 2 different yachts, and it's like 9:30 in the morning till 4:30 p.m. and they're stopping at a restaurant that is only accessible by sea, and like there's just a lot going on like with that. I'll go through the schedule, and then I'll kind of break down some questions. But that's Wednesday, and then Thursday there's the rehearsal dinner that night, and then Friday is the wedding, and then Saturday, Sunday I'm going to be there and just chilling out. So that's kind of like my schedule when I'm there. So all I currently really have, though, is the itinerary. They're covering all of our travel. They've got hotel accommodations. They've got a driver for us. They've got, you know, they're giving us euro before we leave, just so we have, you know, cash on hand. And I have a passport. My wife has a passport. That's all we really know. So I just kind of want to start from the beginning. When you're packing for a trip like this, like when you're actually getting yourself ready for a trip like this, any tips on what I should be thinking about bringing, leaving at home, from a practical standpoint of like extra socks and Band-Aids to like, don't bring these like, or just what are some of the practical tips for just packing for a trip like this?
Yeah, so definitely location plays a big role in that, as I'm sure a lot of people have figured out. I'll give a really quick, super quick story, 20 seconds. My first international wedding ever was down to Antigua, Guatemala, and I literally packed 2 Pelicans, a SKB tripod, hard roller case. We show up, it's like 9:30 at night, and they stop us, and I was like, what are you talking about? I'm just here for vacation. Like, so anyways, that was a pretty funny one, because I just learned, oh, okay, like clearly if you have, like, they're like, no, you're not. They let us in, and they knew we were filming a wedding eventually after like 10 minutes of talking to us. But anyways, so ever since then, it's been a little bit difficult. The biggest thing I always have the hardest time with is light stands, because, you know, I think the importance of light for receptions is like crucial. So I've done a couple things. If the wedding, which it kind of sounds like it is for you, is upscale enough and it's not too late now, I always try to talk to their lighting tech and their planner and see if they can provide, like, usually they have a layout. And so, like, again, for weddings that are high end enough, if they have like a layout of the reception, see if you can get them to install, you know, like 2-point lighting or even like 3-point lighting, or just something to help you from having to carry big ass lights. And then you can just carry some like backup LEDs or something, and maybe small light stands that fit into a luggage, like a check bag. And so that's what we started doing. We have these Manfrotto travel light stands that fold up, and they fit into a check bag. And we always play, and it's always a little bit weird, but like we end up usually placing them like once the party starts, it like on like tables or whatever, just to get the extra height, because I think they're only like 7 or 8 feet, and, you know, to have a good light source, I think you need like 9, 10, 11 feet high. So we always like prop them on chairs or something just to help get the extra height. So that's always been the hardest part for traveling. I saw a lot of questions or a lot of like concern about batteries. I guess there are legal limits to, you know, how many batteries you can have on a carry-on, but I'm not kidding. I have never run into the issue in any country I travel, and I have a backpack that is almost full of batteries. It has 2 of those gold mount, like really big 90-watt-hour batteries, and then my entire system runs on Sony NPF batteries, and like not NPF L series batteries, and I have like 15 of those, the big 970s. So I've never had any issues.
all the travel in America that I've done, I always have a ton of batteries and never get stopped or anything like that for it. But I just didn't know, like, if you would recommend on the battery side of things, like, oh, just pack what you for sure need, and then like extras, throw them in your checked bags, or if it's dumb to do that, or like I just didn't know.
Trick? You can't check batteries?
Can you not?
No, that's like number one rule. No, so let's go basics. Them? You can't check any batteries ever.
I've never checked batteries, so I didn't know you could.
No, like so you can't have a battery. The only question like an airline agent will ask you is going to be, are there any lithium-ion batteries in here? So yeah.
So this is embarrassing, but okay, whatever.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
I'll take one for the team. I was asking for a friend.
Okay, gotcha. Well, tell your friend.
Yeah. Well, like my C100 batteries are pretty big and thick, and like they'll last like 7 hours, you know, kind of thing. So I'm just afraid that like if I bring 3 of those, and they're like, yeah, you can't take those on the plane, then I'm like, well, crap, I don't have.
No, you're fine. You have to put all your batteries on your check bags. So however you pack, that's going to be the thing. It's going to be a little weird because are you flying in with the couple, or are you guys flying on your own itinerary?
On our own. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
On our own. I mean, yeah.
Having your wife there will be great. Italy is usually really, really chill on going there and stuff like that. I mean, obviously they don't not to my knowledge, they don't really have like work visas, but they also usually don't really care. So just when you're there with your wife or whatever, just the biggest thing for packing is just make sure that like what I always do for packing is I have, if a bag is lost, I can still shoot a wedding because I have the bare minimums with me on the plane. One camera, like all my lenses, or one lens, or however you need to pack depending on what your baggage situation is. And that's become the issue. I have so many different bags depending on like how I want to travel to each wedding. It's I think I have like 7 or 8 different gear bags, like backpacks and rollers and stuff like that. Don't bring Pelicans. That's my biggest advice. If you don't want to get stopped by customs, don't bring Pelicans because, they attract a lot of attention.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
I just made that note. I mean, I have lots of Pelican cases, but I mean, I bring those to like travel to LA or something.
Yeah, anywhere in the U.S. is cool, or U.S. territory. Okay.
Yeah. So like when we're talking about just packing in general, I'm going to Italy for a week, not just camera. I mean, is there anything that you always bring on all your international, like down to, I don't know, like down to like converters for the wall chargers?
Yeah. Just definitely invest, like go to Amazon, invest in some great power converters. A weird thing is I always bring bug spray, even if there's not supposed to be bugs. I just hate having bugs on me. It's like one of the weird things for me. I always bring this super heavy duty bug spray I get from REI. I mean, sunscreen pretty much anywhere you go. If you're gonna be spending time outside shooting, you have a yacht. I'm sure they'll have some there. So you can always buy a lot of the stuff when you're traveling. But I don't have anything that's like a travel tip or travel hack or anything like that, because I always do the research on each location I'm going. And usually I have to make a trip to REI at some point. Like my wife came with me to Iceland, so I had to go buy her like all like cold jackets. I mean, we don't have any of that stuff because we live in Texas. So yeah.
So do you go somewhere? You mentioned that you check online. Do you just Google what would I Google for Italy?
There's so many travel blogs like top travel hacks for traveling to Italy, or top items to bring with you to Italy or whatever. I mean, literally whatever, that simple. And somebody has been kind enough to put their name and information out there. And that's the amazing thing about what we live in.
I didn't know if there was like an official like site that it's like.
Right.
That'd be awesome.
Maybe there should be.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, so when packing, like what we're planning on doing, and is to pack a little lighter than normal. Like, I mean, usually I'm running 4 or 5 C100s on a wedding day.
Yeah.
Which is easy to do when I'm driving 5 minutes from my house to a country club, and I have Pelicans and whatever. But so what I'm thinking of doing, it's 18 people. They live here in Oklahoma, and they're destination wedding. They're paying for everybody to come out. The ceremony itself is going to be very small, very intimate. I'm thinking of bringing like one camera that's the wide, and then another camera that I'm moving throughout the ceremony, instead of bringing 4 cameras, all these lenses. And I'm just wanting to have as light of, like 2 to 3 lenses, but I also don't want to like not have everything I need. Have you seen a balance there with like, I have my wife, I have myself, so we can bring a lot of stuff carrying on between the two of us, but any advice on that side of things?
Yeah, I always bring 2 tripods and 2 ceremony cameras. And so we always bring 4 cameras total. At a normal wedding, we shoot like 5, but we bring 4. And we have a wide and like a medium or tight for the stationary films for the ceremony. And the 2 tripods is nice because you still have speeches and stuff like that you want to look really great. So that's been my balance, is only dropping off 1 camera. But our cameras are a lot smaller for our C and D cameras. We'll use like a Fuji or anything else, honestly, because it's just for the ceremony.
I have a few like 5D Mark IVs or 5D Mark IIIs that I might bring a couple of those.
I'd like to maybe bring 2 C100s and then, or C200s or whatever you use, and then for your C and D cameras, just bring something that's got a little bit smaller footprint.
Yeah, we'll be bringing a 5D Mark IV or a 1DX for photos anyway.
Yeah.
So
heck yeah.
So that'll be, I'm sure that, like, my thought was, because it's 18 people at the wedding, including my wife and I, and so I'll have room around, it's like having a safe stationary camera and then moving just a little bit, like on a monopod or something during the ceremony.
Well, honestly, if it's only 18 people, sorry, you said renting 2 yachts, so I just assumed that there's a lot more people there. So
yeah, that you can only have a certain number of people on a yacht, apparently. Like there's a max number, and so they barely went over it. So they had, and I think they're like smaller boats, but they're like, they still call it a yacht. So I don't know what they're doing, but
whatever. That's cool.
So it's going to be more intimate, and there's room to move around. It's outdoors. And so I'm just thinking, like, if I have an oh crap angle, just kind of wide on a 5D Mark IV and like a 16
and you and your wife maybe running around on cameras.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was.
Fine then. Yeah, I think that'll make a lot more sense.
Yeah, I was thinking 2 tripods. 1 groom angle where my wife is kind of watching that whenever she's coming down the aisle, and then the wide angle safe, and then myself being able to move around during the ceremony. Since we're going to be there so long, I know that we'll probably have plenty of opportunity to get tons of good footage. I just didn't know if you guys are like ever. It's a little bit different of a situation, but if you guys are ever just, we're going to pack as light as we can, like you and your wife. I mean, did you bring somebody else to Iceland with you besides your wife?
I did. Yeah. My brother shot with me.
Okay.
There are times, South America freaks me out for bringing lots of gear. And so that is one time that I always pack as light as possible. I brought a backpack of gear and a carry-on of clothes. It was like definitely the lightest I've ever traveled, and so but like it sucks though, because the entire speeches I had to hold my light in the air.
Okay.
It was 45 minutes of holding like a light with 2 970 batteries on it. It was very exhausting. Why my camera was just on a gimbal on a tripod, just locked off. So anyways, but Italy's fine. I went out to France. I brought an easy rig. I brought it was totally cool. So
I'm thinking about trying to get our Ronin S there as well.
I can tell you a backpack that you can pack a ton of stuff and a Ronin S in.
Yes, maybe you could send me the link and I can link it.
So it's called Peak Design. I think it's their everyday backpack. It's their biggest 40-liter backpack. I put like 2 or 3 cameras, 3 lenses, like tons of batteries, a drone, all inside the camera compartment. And there's a completely separate compartment that the Ronin S fits into, like that's completely protected and no scratches or anything like that. It is amazing.
Awesome. I know we have a Peak Design bag for a photographer, so I don't know if it's that one, but we can.
This one's brand new. It's like their newest bag.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the price range on the bag?
Well, I think it's $350 for the bag, and then the inserts where they get you. But I just bought the large camera insert, and that's all. So I think it made me like $400. But so my brother had an amazing half off code, and so I bought like a $700 worth of stuff and I got it for $350. It was crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was so freaking sweet. But that bag has been by far my favorite bag. I also got it in green, so it doesn't even look like a camera backpack. It looks like I'm just like going to travel Europe for like a month, you know. It's super dope. I love that bag. so much support, so many hidden compartments for like for support. I mean, it's just it's awesome. It's really by far my favorite bag I've ever bought. Yeah,
I love it. So, any other things on the packing side of things, getting there, that you're thinking about that I should be thinking about for Italy or?
No, I mean, it's like shooting any other wedding, except for this time you're traveling far, so you're going to limit your gear a little bit. I always feel a little weird traveling destination weddings because one of the areas I do take shortcuts on is my audio. I only bring one, recorder, and normally I have a backup recorder. I bring the lavs, but as far as it goes for like a Zoom H5, normally I bring 2 of those to a wedding just in case. But I've just learned I bought the Zoom extension on top, and so like that you plug into the top of like the H5 or H6, and it gives you like a backup recording, like 10 decibels lower. Tascam has that built into their main stuff, so it's a little cooler. But so just trying to find either hardware that gives you backup so that you can bring less stuff, and then we just bring our 2 or 3 lavalier packs from the Tascam DR10s. Yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't really have a ton of advice on that besides just honestly, my best advice would be just make sure that you pack so that you can, walk half a mile without struggles. Does that make sense? Like, make sure your luggage is compatible with each other. Like, I just helped my dad and stepmom go to the airport, and even just their 3 checked bags, were so hard to get inside to check. It was a nightmare, and I was like, man, this is gonna be horrible for them going from the even. It sucks. So just make sure that your stuff is modular and stacks on top of each other, and that you can comfortably pull all your stuff without needing a third arm. So that's my biggest thing.
Love it. Yeah, I think that'll be helpful, and just thinking through all the things that I'm bringing and microphones and all that good stuff. So you carry all that stuff on the plane with you in that bag, pretty much, or split it up between whoever's traveling with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, generally I try to keep everything on me, but there has been some instances where maybe I'm flying separate, so I will put a couple lenses in my checked bag or whatever, or I usually put all my chargers or something like that in my checked bag, which is not smart because if that bag gets lost, I can't charge my batteries. But anyways, yeah.
But all of the duplicates of things, probably check those if they're not lithium batteries, of course. Obviously, what kind of idiot would?
Obviously,
oh man, that's embarrassing forever.
So tell me, what CRM do you use? If you're not sure or you don't know what a CRM is, I'm about to save you a lot of time and therefore money. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. Basically, a CRM is an online service that helps you better serve your clients. Honeybook is both mine and John's CRM of choice. We absolutely love it. Honeybook allows us to do all of our correspondence, contracts, and payments all in one place. One of the features that I love is the automated workflow. We all have emails that we send out to all of our clients, right? At 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, the week of. All of us do it. Automated workflows make it so that those emails can go out automatically. Since I don't have to take time to, 1, remember to send them out, and 2, to write them, I save time and make more money by working more efficiently. Are you interested in saving time on the business side of things? Go to howtofilmweddings.com/honeybook for a free 1-week trial. Also, because the Honeybooks really like me and John, we can give you $200 off of your first year, and that also comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Go to howtofilmweddings.com/honeybook to start saving lots of time in your business. Oh yeah, legally I have to tell you that John and I are affiliates of Honeybook.
So let's fast forward. I'm now in Italy. I've gotten there. We've traveled. We're leaving from Tulsa to Chicago, Chicago to Brussels, Brussels to Italy. It's it's a minute to get there.
That's the worst flight ever.
I know. It's the best that you can get from Tulsa. So,
what part of Italy you flying into?
Priano? Is that a place? Yeah. It's a 40-minute drive from the airport to where we're staying, and they have a driver for us. Sweet. But So we get there like noon. They're giving us, they're like, we don't want you to feel like you have to do anything because you're probably going to be just hammered, exhausted from traveling. For those of you watching online on YouTube, this episode is sponsored by whomever that Henry's pointing. I'm not going to have him say it. You just have to be watching on YouTube, which is a nice little transition into telling you watch on YouTube or on Facebook. Just how to film weddings is the tag. All right, so I'm in Italy. We're there. We get checked in. Everything's great. If you're in my situation where you're getting there the day before you're going on like the yacht tour, what are you thinking about for that kind of a shoot? And then, just like, what are you thinking on that kind of a shoot? Like, they want us to have fun and enjoy it, but they're like, bring a camera in case, whatever. So I want to capitalize on that. I don't want to not be thinking of different things I should be doing. What would you be thinking about? Yeah,
so definitely 3 things you need: gimbal, GoPro, and drone, right? Mm-hmm. Those are like the 3 things that you definitely want on a boat. I know that she says have fun and enjoy, but you'll be able to get so much cool content on that day. I wish, I'm sure that everyone's going to be cool, but I wish that was like a day later just so you could get to know the crew better. So maybe like...
So I do know everybody already. Like, so I filmed the wedding. Cool. Okay. I filmed the wedding of her brother and sister-in-law, and I'm good friends with her other sister. And so like, sweet. I know like 14 of the 18 great. Guests already.
Cool. Like, well, that's amazing.
So gimbal, GoPro, and drone.
Yeah, gimbal, GoPro, and drone. Yeah, because you never know if they're going to jump off the boat and play in the water. You never know. So that's what the GoPro's for. Have them hold
the drone while they do that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, the drone. Have the GoPro whenever they're jumping. Get a killer shot of them ruining my drone. You're the one that slept in today, dude. I'm the one that's acting like it.
I know.
Let me get some more coffee.
Sorry. I still apologize for that. We were supposed to record this like an hour and a half earlier. So, okay. So, anyways, So, biggest thing. If you've never flown a drone on a boat before, my biggest advice, absolute biggest advice, is do not take off from the front of the boat. No matter how slow you think you're going, you will never be able to outdo the clearance on the boat. So take off from the back of the boat, or tell them to stop the boat if you want to take off and land your drone.
Okay.
Massive advice. Very close incident for me one time. I think for that, it's just about having fun, and like definitely if you have some drinks with them on the boat, you'll just really be enjoying your time. And I think the footage will probably come out a little bit, more just fun anyways. You definitely do portraits on the boat for sure. There'll be some times where you can pull off and tell the boat captain to turn a certain way to get backlight or whatever. Pull out and do portraits on the boat. That's something we did, and that was super cool. You can you can even do like group stuff if everyone's dressed like whatever, and just document. What's your deliverable time on this film, or is it just one film?
So they've given me complete freedom to do whatever I want. And so I'm probably going to deliver them like a 5 to 10 minute range for like the whole trip.
Yeah.
And then also produce like a shorter 2 to 3 minute, like cool. More trailer sexy kind of. Yeah. And then honestly, I'm probably going to pitch them something that's just like a full doc of the whole time, like 45 minutes or longer. So
where'd you get that idea from?
Well, it's not going to be a Brothers Martens style. It's more of my FOMO edit that I do, where it's just like kind of everything that I took the whole time, organized, clean, so they can like watch it.
You'll have so much conversation, so much content.
Yeah, and I'm wondering too. Like, I think they're just like having fun, that kind of thing, and enjoying it. So I was planning on bringing all of those things. What would you do with your gimbal on the boat? Just kind of, if they're on the, what would you do with your gimbal?
That's be like my A cam. Like anything that I'm documenting, I'm going to be like on the gimbal doing it. Just because on a boat, like there's something just real, like it's more shaky, especially on the left to right. Whenever you're on there, and also with the bumps and stuff, gimbal will make it like significantly more usable. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a friend and he shot like a ceremony on a boat. He was like, he's just hating himself in the edit. He was like so mad that he didn't use a gimbal. He's like, what the? Start thinking like all the footage is so like whatever. So gimbal just helps kind of normalize some of that stuff, even if you have cool. IBIS, which you don't. So definitely gimbal. Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, but that'd just be like the A cam. Obviously, if you want to like, I don't know, like you can obviously go and like try to come up with some pre-production ideas about things that you want, but it's so hard to tell exactly what it's going to look like, right? Like you don't really know what the boat's going to look like. You don't really know what the location's going to be like. That's why the drone stuff is really cool. Like in that in a film I did in France. I just flew my drone up and just got a couple sick. I went through like 2 batteries just flying the drone around of them cruising through the bay and stuff, and it was some of my favorite footage because it's just like it really gives that glamour to like to the situation. It takes you outside of like being on the boat. So portraits, documenting, having fun. Hopefully they jump in the water and you just have a blast with that.
Yeah, they're planning on swimming and all that kind of stuff. So that'll be fun.
Super dope.
Handing them the GoPro that has the arm on it so they can film
Go film with them, bro.
Well, yeah, of course. But I'm jumping in.
Yeah.
This guy's jumping in. I mean, when in Rome, you know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying?
Italy?
Close enough.
I'm a dad. I'm such a dad.
I love dad jokes.
All right, so yacht day is complete. Now we're moving on to their rehearsal dinner where they're going to be like, everybody is there the whole time, but they're, anything different you're thinking about on that than a normal rehearsal?
Even before that, one of my favorite things to do is is your trip situated in a single city?
It'll be basically.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to do, and it always sounds crazy, but I'm telling you it's worth it every time, is wake up for sunrise B-roll. I think Italy has some of the most beautiful light all day long, but especially sunrises and sunsets there are just absolutely gorgeous. And so like not just filming like the sunrise itself, but going into the city and filming the city kind of waking up is a really, really cool thing because you get such more cinematic footage before the streets are crowded with even people or tourists. And you obviously have more light and angles to work with. So that's something that we started implementing not too long ago, but we realized how amazing it is. And so we actually only shoot B-roll, sunrise and sunset, and then we take the whole day to chill and relax and eat good food and do whatever we want. That's smart. Yeah, so that's what I would. Info. Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so that's something that I think looks really good.
I'll throw in there too. The family. It's just this is a very ideal situation because the family loves me, and they're all very photogenic and cameragenic, and so like there's a lot of time where I've asked if I could do portraits of different members of the family and things like that, but like. They have hired a photographer, but only for the day of the wedding, and they've hired me to be, I'm going to be there the whole week, which is great. But like, I'm going to get footage of them like in the city, enjoying the city on different things besides the boat. So like, I'm just planning on always having like at least the 5D Mark IV on my hip to kind of like grab some B-roll footage of them and then, photos, that kind of thing. So that'll be something I incorporate in as well. So I'm going to try as much as I can just to be there with them. Doing some of these fun things.
And I found that like that gimbal and 24-70, you can thank Alex Douglas for this, but like I used to never shoot 24-70. I was like, it's for noobs and idiots. But like he convinced me that like, dude, a gimbal and a 24-70 for shooting just B-roll throughout a city is probably like the greatest tool that we've ever had. Anyway, especially when you're documenting like groups of people traveling through the city, it's so nice in a split second to be able to have those different focal lengths. So your edits, if you need to edit like a sequence together, don't feel like you're jump cutting. So anyway, that's something I definitely.
What about the 16-35? Because that's what I planned on bringing.
Yeah, because that's like the same thing on your crop sensor. So yeah.
Yeah, the 16-35, the internal zoom on the gimbal is great for me. Like I don't have to like balance. I know you don't on the Ronin because it's massively amazing, but okay, that's good. Totally. That's good to know.
The rehearsal dinner,
it's just going to be basically a dinner with a few speeches. I plan to light it and shoot it very similar to what I usually do.
Nothing really that different there.
Okay, I didn't know if there was anything that you
just try. I mean, try to. I always show up. I'm weird. I just show up really, really early to make sure that I can, set up and make it look good or whatever. But this is like an intimate wedding, so it sounds like amazing. Kind of jealous I'm not shooting with you.
You're more than welcome to come along.
That's really nice.
You just have to pay to be there.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, and so rehearsal dinners, I've never been like a huge. I mean, I've never done anything at a rehearsal dinner that's like blown my mind. So I've seen some amazing rehearsal dinners, and I have a couple good rehearsal speeches. But a lot of our films aren't super dialogue driven from that perspective. So I'm never like the best at that, and I always want to get better at it. But it's just kind of like one of those things that's on the list. Here's something that you could consider, and something that I'm doing for another couple next year. You're in Italy, and my wedding's actually in Italy too, and the family's there. You could maybe try, if there's a day or a couple hours where people are kind of relaxing, you could maybe even craft up some interview questions for like the parents of the couple, and that might be a cool narrative story, and you could ask, really anything. It depends on what kind of story you're trying to accomplish, but that's something I've been toying with the idea. Instead of just portraits, trying to like dive more into the story from other people's perspective.
Yeah, I've really looked at adding that kind of a stuff into our films because we are very narrative driven, and it's like nobody's really interviewing father of the bride, and like talking, like, tell me about your daughter when she was little, or that kind of stuff. Not even on an Italy wedding, but just like in a wedding in general. It's like that's kind of where I'm moving more into. We did just interview Josh with A Little Long Distance. Are you familiar with them?
Oh yeah,
a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so like we've been really in like a lot of the films that we've shot but haven't put out. We've got a lot of like get them as kids kind of footage, different things, just like really layer the story a little differently. Yeah. And he includes a lot of that. So I'm just like that's really good about just like interviewing different people, asking them questions about the couple, asking them about their thoughts on Italy. I mean, you just never know what you're going to get whenever you ask those kinds of questions, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
One of our most popular films, we just did an interview with the bride's daughter, and her answers, I asked her like, what do you think love is? And then, if there's one thing you could say to Tom, and her answers were like so much better than anything that I could have scripted,
Yeah. That's so good. I love moments like that. That's so good.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Okay, so I'm definitely going to get sunrise B-roll. That's great stuff. Okay, the wedding day itself, the way I've structured this with them is that like because it's so chill and because I just want to be around most all day. Like, I mean, I'm just going to be there. Like, I don't care if they're paying me more or not. Like, I'm looking at this film kind of like when we talked with Eric Floberg a couple of weeks back as a launching point into a new era of my career. To where this is the thing that I'm going to push to sell 2020 in the destination weddings that I want to do. So I'm just going to like go all out when I'm there. They're paying me a lot to be there, but I also could charge them way more. But at a certain point, they've brought my wife, me, we're having a trip, and it's like, so on the wedding day itself, like I'm just planning on being around the whole day, getting all the stuff. Is there anything you're thinking about, especially in an Italian wedding, that I should be like getting that's different than one that might be in Tulsa, Oklahoma? Like, should I be...
I think really an emphasis on location, and it doesn't have to be the grand location, even just small things that that give a sense of place. That's something that David Lee and myself have talked about. He has shot so many destination weddings with me, and that's just one of the things that we really have learned to just make an extra effort, even on the wedding day, to shooting things that are maybe not even wedding specific. Obviously shoot those, but putting more emphasis on like shooting things that are maybe like at the hotel that they're staying at, if it's cool light, or even just like out in the streets, or just anything, because like that's the great thing about what we do. Yeah, just location stuff. Yeah, sorry, my answers are so long.
Yeah. No, you can keep going. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just reiterating. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. And to me, it's like the Italian culture. I know in our episode we did on episode 26, you talked about like capturing the noise of the city. Capturing, things like that. I'm totally planning on using, just like setting up and recording Italian speak, like it's beautiful, like everything about it. So like, I mean, I'm just thinking about all these things, and on the wedding day itself,
I mean, there's been so many great Italian wedding films out there, and like one of the, do they hire a band at all? Like a local band or anything like that? I
don't know if they did.
Yeah. I've seen it done. It's kind of like overdone now, but Riccardo, I think, was one of the first, and then of course, like so many people after that. You should have Riccardo Fasoli on your podcast.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Trying.
Anyways, but yeah, like, so just I mean, you'll love the Italian culture. I don't think there's any place like it. It's very welcoming and very warm and very fun. So on the wedding day, I mean, in a sense, it's just like any other wedding day. You just always hope that the bride is relaxed and that everything is semi on time. Europeans, I mean, I'm sure you've probably done your research, but the battery question makes me not sure if you did this or not, but I'm just messing with you.
No, you should tell me all of the things that you think are stupid that you should know.
So European, nothing's on time. So I hope that everyone on your trip can accept that, but I'm not kidding. Like all of Europe, like just good luck if it's going to be on time, but it probably won't be.
That's how I feel about my Southern California weddings that I do. It's like
cool.
Santa Barbara, it's like 2 p.m. ceremony to 3 p.m. Somewhere in there we'll start.
Oh.
Okay. Traffic's bad, so we're going to start like 2 hours late. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
all right,
perfect.
sounds perfect, yeah.
No,
yeah. So do you have any specific questions about the wedding day? Because, I mean, it's just like shooting any other wedding. I mean, essentially,
not
sense
really.
of place, yeah.
I'm trying to think about also the people listening. Like I have a plan for like my style. I've done weddings for a long time, but like I think the answer that you said about like just getting more of the location and things that are happening, it's not like you can just run back over and grab another shot of the Italian sunset. And so it's just like, or like just the cars driving or the sounds and like that kind of thing. I think I'm going to be way more sensitive to the sounds and the look. Like that's what I want them to be able to like go back to, and so that's very helpful. And then the fact that the family is like family to me, like I text the bride almost every day and she sends me ideas and I mean, so it's like that work that I've been doing with her family for 4 years is obviously going to play in to the fact that I'm going to be able to have a very intimate, viewpoint of the day. They're going to be comfortable with me. So, that's something that for the listeners, it's like, make sure you've done your homework. Like I had lunch with them last week and we just walked through from their engagement, from dating and engagement and all those things, like just their whole story. I took 3 pages of notes and like, so I know their whole story. I'm going to ask them about, why they chose Italy and explain Italy to me, or like, what is it about Italy that made you want to, and so that's a lot of the narrative.
Yeah.
But so I feel very good about the wedding day. The main things that I'm thinking about with asking you is just like the things that just seem simple to you, but might not be thought about when it comes to traveling, shooting with other, like in other cultures. I feel like Italy is a great first real big destination wedding for me because it's not like a hard place to get into or out of. That kind of thing. So
also one of the 2 things that come to mind, and just in a weird way, but like don't be timid when shooting location B-roll. Italian culture isn't like some other cultures where like they may like actually like rush at you and be like what are you doing, like, so Italian culture, they're very used to tourists, but like just like be very aggressive when you're filming B-roll and get anything that you think will be cool. Like even like, I mean, it's always weird, but like I love filming people like in the streets, like setting up their shops in the morning, and like they obviously know you're filming them, but if they have a problem with it, they'll say something and then you move on with your day. So be more aggressive. And then the other thing that I know that it sounds really simple, but like you will be very, very physically tired throughout this trip, and just push through. You can always rest and sleep when you get back to the States, or, like just push through. Sometimes those sunrise B-roll sessions just seem like absolute garbage. You're like, I'm so tired. I went to bed at like 1 a.m. I do not want to wake up at 5. But if you just have, one thing I bring with me on every trip, I just thought about it. I always bring Advocare Spark. It comes in like this little, you mix it with water, and it is amazing to wake you up. Like just like if you're trying to wake up for a sunrise session, throw that thing in a bottle of water, shake it, drink it, and you'll instantly be woken up. That's the only thing I bring. Anyways, and so, but yeah, so just you'll be physically tired, just push through, and I know it sounds so, but like there will be a time in the trip where you're so tired that you're like, I'll get it later, but just
pushing through, making sure you're drinking tons of water the whole way through. I mean, that kind of stuff. And where we're, going to be set up is on the side of a mountain. So we're like 1,000 steps down to get whatever. And it's like, there's just, it's just crazy, like on the Amalfi Coast, it's literally like the hotel that we're staying in is like lodged onto the side of the mountain, and you have to like walk
Yeah.
down for a quarter mile down the mountain just to get to your hotel room or whatever. And so we're bringing like comfortable shoes, and we're, you know, all that kind of stuff. I do want to ask this. That made me think of this. Like, so this wedding they're doing, it's black tie, kind of like just classic Italian. How do you get your clothes? Like, what are you packing when it comes to, how are you getting like the clothes there?
Yeah, so destination weddings I always feel are a little different, and also depends on what you want your brand to be represented as, right? Intimate weddings like this are usually a lot more forgiving on wedding attire. You could probably get away with wearing like a normal pair of like slacks or performance slacks or something, and then like a button-up t-shirt or something. I've only recently started wearing like half suits to high-end weddings. It's only because I'm trying to transition that brand into fitting a higher bracket of, you know, financial commitment. But anyways, so yeah, I mean, obviously there's irons in every single hotel room you stay at. So if you need to bring like a nice dress shirt and all that stuff, you can just iron it and whatever. But I can throw it in your luggage and go from there.
Yeah. I didn't know if you had any recommendations on like things that you bring that are like, you know, you're going to be moving a lot more than you would at just like a ballroom kind of wedding or something, you know, like
well,
that kind
do you
of thing
have
too.
do you have the shirt clip? Do you have the shirt clip?
No, but I think you mentioned this before, like the clip that clips onto your socks or something like that.
Basically, it goes like runs under your feet, and then it goes all the way up your leg, kind of like suspenders that are upside down, and then it clips onto your shirt and keeps your shirt tucked in.
I'm gonna have to get one of those, and I'm gonna have to see
Amazon,
you in
man.
one of those.
Oh no, it's quite a sight, but dude, that thing's
Side
legit.
text. That's awesome. That's good.
Yeah. So, you'll find in Italy culture, it's very relaxed, and so even though it's a black tie formal event, I mean, I don't think any of the other vendors are really going to be. I could be wrong, but they just naturally look so sexy and so good, you know. So it's not fair.
Stupid. I'm really pumped. Okay, I could talk a lot more. I know that we've got to wrap this up.
Of course.
Let's see here. So. I think that answers most everything that I was thinking about. Obviously, I'm sure I'll think of something as soon as we get off of here. I mean, all that kind of stuff about just getting, you know, like the minimal approach, and then making sure you're capturing the city and the B-roll and the things to bring on the boats and the things to like, I mean, I think all that really is helpful information for sure.
The last thing is if you have a predetermined storyline, this is something I used to just show up and document stuff, but it sounds like you know this family well enough where you can probably come up with a couple ideas for like directions that your narrative could go, and just doing things that align with that, you know, like if you're going to do interviews, asking questions like that. But you could try to come up with some sort of predetermined, like, you know, storyline or narrative, or even just like for the teaser, like something that you're like, oh, I'm going to shoot this. Here's a weird thing I started doing. I started making music bed playlists for specific trips. Like, oh, I think this song is just cool. And then I listen to them when I'm shooting B-roll, just to kind of like inspire me more and put me in a more cinematic mood. Anyway, sorry, last thing, but weird little thing.
That's actually, I'm typing it down right now.
Right.
There's a million things, which is why I want to transition into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, the workshop that was just announced. Where you're going to be diving in a little bit more deeply. If anyone wants to check that out, why don't you give us the details that you know for right now about the workshop? Tell me all about it. It sounds like it's going to be awesome. I might be getting myself a ticket to come down to
this
that
This is very exciting. So this is Alex and Whitney and Douglas are putting on, so Sculpting with Time, they're putting on a workshop in Austin, Texas, and the lineup is absolutely incredible. You have them, Fiore Films, Jordan Bunch, 31 Films. Joe Simon actually agreed to do it, which is amazing. I don't know if you guys know who Joe Simon is, but he's like the godfather of this. And then there's me. But it is October 20th through 22nd, and there's some really, really cool stuff planned for the group. But I gotta say, it's very exciting. It's my first workshop or retreat to speak at, and looking forward to it. It's gonna be really. I think there's. I haven't approved this with Alex yet, but like a couple things. Like I think I'm gonna talk on me being like kind of the new kid, because this lineup is all veterans and people that have been at the top and that are just doing amazing things. And then there's me, and I'm kind of like the under 5-year business guy who has the opportunity to speak at this. And so anyways, I'm going to talk about how to build a new brand in a market that already has so many amazing top filmmakers out there. And so I think that's what I'm going to talk about, and kind of go through our story and then kind of our vision and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, the lineup itself, I mean, you are definitely incredible enough to be, named among all of those people, but like, my goodness, there's every single one of those people in the lineup. It's just like, drool, yes, please. So, and that's going to be October 20th through 22nd. More details obviously coming, but by the time this releases, those should all be out. But as we're recording, I don't know all of them quite yet. So that's releasing. I mean, it's already released, but I'm so excited to kind of like see how that goes and all that good stuff. I mean, what an incredible workshop. If you're it's going to be in Austin, is that right?
Yeah, it's in Austin.
Yeah, in Austin. So if you're going to be in that area, I mean, my goodness, totally worth the investment. So that's really great. And yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to say about that, because it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be 3 days of like just amazing activities, and also incredible knowledge. I mean, you have some people that are doing commercial work, and then you have wedding professional talk, and I think it's geared towards people that have been doing this for a while and want to continue growing their brand and their business in every aspect, from creativity to business. So yeah, it's going to be a really incredible lineup.
That's amazing. Awesome.
Yeah,
okay, well,
thanks,
cool. And then for anybody that's just kind of like wanting to check out your work, where again is the best place for them to find you, to look you up?
Yeah. So our Instagram and website's just the Brothers Martens. Actually, our website's Brothers Martens, and then our Instagram is the Brothers Martens. And then I've had a lot of weird requests from people, because I used to be called Henry Weddings, and on my Henry Weddings website, I had like a store. Anyway, so if anybody's curious about the store, I sell like LUTs and a couple FCPX specific effects and stuff like that. But that's over at proluts.com. So we've removed it from the brand of the Brothers Martens, and now it's in its own website. So proluts.com for
ProLuts.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So proluts.com. We'll link all that stuff in the show notes, of course. But, dude, I really appreciate it. I hope the listeners enjoyed this. It ended up turning into pretty full episodes, so that's great for me. To be able to do this and just be like, hey, Henry, can I ask you all the questions about? I mean, it's so the wedding community.
I think it's most stuff
still
that
blows
you
my
would
mind.
figured out on your own. I'm just trying to save you some time.
Okay, so proluts.com. That's where they can get all the LUTs, and then check out the links in our profile or in our video to learn more about the workshop, all that good stuff. It's so cool to have like people in the industry that are like becoming friends that I can just like say, hey, do you mind telling me all the things you've learned? Because if we all do this and help each other out, that's how we're going to elevate this industry. So a quick plug for our Facebook group. If you're not in that group, tons of interaction. Just search How to Film Weddings. If you're listening on podcasts, review us, share this with a friend, obviously. If you're watching on YouTube, give us that thumbs up, hit that bell, wherever it is in the video. And I guess until next time, we'll see you.